Thank you so much. If anybody needs a chair, we have a seat here. So I really love the energy here, very enthusiastic. I love the way Hong really, has this energy, and everybody here is very excited. So I love that energy myself too. So thank you for having me. And Mai, thank you for introducing me to Hong and to invite me here. In fact, this is the first time I see Mai in person.
Wow.
We met through VNAR. Anybody a member of VNAR?
Vietnam.
No,
It's a Vietnamese National Association of Real Estate Professionals. So I'll talk about how that all came about online. So I'm excited to talk about some great ideas today, and I'm going to talk for about 45 minutes or so, and then we have some question and answer. I see some of you have notepads out. I would really suggest if you could borrow a piece of paper from somebody, something to write on. That,
you need a pen?
because what I've learned is that when you write something down, especially when you write it down on pen and paper as opposed to typing it on a computer, it sinks into your memory and also your subconscious mind on a deeper level. So as I go through the information, I'm going to cover quite a few ideas. So here's the suggestion. If you hear an idea that you think you would like to do, just write it down, and then later today you might rank the ideas that you learned. And let's say you learned 10 great ideas. Identify the top 2 that you will do immediately, because we're going to talk about getting into action. I love the ideas here, especially consistency. I'm going to talk about consistency, also passion. It seems like everybody here is very passionate about being here, being in the industry. So I want to, add some information that will definitely help you. So I'm an independent sales trainer. I represent Eric Lofholm International. We're a global sales training company. We do general sales training, but it's applicable to any industry. And lately I've been focusing specifically on real estate because I know the market is really tough these days. And so we have some ideas that apply to any industry in general, but we have some success stories of people who have been in real estate that I want to share. So what I'm sharing, it may be repeating some of the things you heard from Mike Ferry. And if it is, I want to hear, during the Q&A, we're going to have some comments and questions about that, what I'm talking about here. So I'm not a real estate expert, but I am a sales training expert. So Eric Lofholm, he's the president of this company. He's outside of Sacramento, and he was the #1 trainer for Tony Robbins. Anybody walk on a fire besides me? All right, live with passion, right? So that's how I got to know Eric Lofholm. And I'll give you a short history about my background. I used to be in high tech for over 20 years. I did software, project management, all the technical work. I was not in sales, not in marketing. And I had a chance to get a good buyout package, so I took that package. I said, I'm going to be my own boss. And I had a network marketing business that I was doing on the side. And I learned that transitioning from being an employee to self-employed can be quite a challenge. So it was up and down, up and down. I was going through my savings, trying to figure out how to make things work. And then I met Eric Lofholm at a seminar, took several of his courses, which really turned my results around and really helped me increase my results. And it took some of his advanced courses, and then got to know him on a personal level. And he invited me to become one of his independent sales trainers. So that's what I do now. I do free talks like this. I also do individual one-on-one coaching. We also have live seminars. And there's nothing for sale today, so you can put your credit cards away. I do have some free offers at the end, including the slides. So this is a picture of me and my 2 sons. We did the San Jose event in November 2016. And I have to say I'm passionate about learning. I like to expand my knowledge, not only in business, but also health, like Hong was talking about, and especially peak performance. And that's one of the things I learned from Tony Robbins in terms of what you can do with your mindset and your belief system to increase your results to get to the next level on a consistent basis. So that was an awesome event. So here are the outcomes. I want to give you ideas that you can use today to find more listings in maybe a hidden market. And also offer a program. It's a free sales training online program. And again, all the slides are available too. So these are the outcomes. These are the topics I'm going to talk about. Number one, which is probably the most important, is the mindset of a top producer. What you're thinking about affects your actions. And this is number two. This is going to be really important. You may have heard this before, but it's worth hearing again. I'm going to give you the number one strategy for creating referrals, especially for referrals for sellers. Your personal brand, like Leon was saying, how do you get people to recognize you, to know that you're even in the real estate business? And I'll give you some stories about some people who are not doing that, and hopefully you're not doing that either. How you can leverage technology, how you can increase your sales skills, and I'll offer a free 30-minute strategy call for anybody in the room who wants to have a phone consultation, learn specifically about where you are, where you want to go, and I'll give you my best ideas on how to get there. Sound good so far?
Yes.
So I already know that. You may think to yourself, oh, I already know that, and which is fine, because I like to go to seminars all the time. I'm kind of like a seminar junkie. And the question is, when it comes to these specific ideas about finding listings, are you doing what you know? So you may hear something, you may see something that says, oh, I know that already. Then you could ask yourself, are you doing it? So we talk about getting into action. Knowledge is one thing, but knowledge without action doesn't produce results, right? So this is a testimonial I got from Jerry Lee. He's a broker at Legend Real Estate. And just to see in the blue there, it says, instead of teaching boring theories to our new agents, he gives real examples how to get more buyers and more sellers, and gives a lot of great advice to our agents. So I love speaking to groups, and not only speaking, but I like to give people information that can definitely help you get to the next level. So this is thanks to Jerry. Now this is a general idea. There are three ways to get better results. There's the inner game, the outer game, and again, the action. So the inner game is your mindset. And we're going to talk about that in terms of a top producer. What are your belief systems? What do you think about yourself? What do you think about the market? And then the outer game is the how-tos. Like doing the open house, putting up the banner, the tent outside, attracting people. What do you do when you meet somebody? What do you say to them? How do you follow up? How do you ask for referrals? So that's the outer game. And then, of course, we come down into action. What are you doing on a daily basis? Part of consistency, right? To be consistent. Every day, every day, every day. Not up and down and up and down. And this is one thing, personally, I'm working on myself, too, to be consistent every day. So this is a general outline. There are a lot of different areas we can talk about in each of those three topics, but I'm going to give you some of the highlights primarily. So the mindset of a top producer, what do you believe about today's market? Tom and I were talking about how literally it's really serious in terms of finding people. The inventory is so low. We're talking about people, in this one case, the buyer overbid by $300,000 within the first 2 weeks, right? So people can say, oh my gosh, this market is so tough. It's hard to find listings. What am I going to do? I've talked to realtors, some of them are having trouble paying their bills. It's very serious. And I don't mean to minimize the fact that it is serious, but if you have, and I'll get to another slide which is going to give you a different mindset on how to deal with this market. What do you believe about yourself? Do you say, oh, I'm brand new? Or who's been in real estate, let's say, less than 3 years? Okay, so most people are here seasoned. So what do you believe about you? You can say, oh, I'm brand new. I don't know what to do. Maybe you're lacking a little bit of confidence. Maybe you're still building your database or your email list. And hopefully, you're getting information from trainers like Mike Ferry, also from Leon. It sounds like you have some very structured training program here for the agents too, so you definitely want to take advantage of every bit of information that you can get. And we're going to talk about how you can change your mindset also, how you can, because what you're thinking about the market, what you think about yourself is going to affect your actions, right? So are you willing to do what it takes? I was at a SCORE convention last year, and they had a panel of top producers, and they had another panel of mega producers. These were teams that were doing anywhere from $100 million to $200 million a year. So I was there taking notes on what they said, and what they said they were doing is, typical door knocking, postcards, mailers, flyers, cold calling, and so on. But they were doing it on a massive, massive level. And of course, those people, they started probably at zero also too. And over time, they kept working. So you can ask yourself, what's your goal? So here in a couple of days, we're going to start the second half of 2018. Do you remember when it was New Year's on 2018? And here we are, half the year is gone already. So there's still time to take action. So you can ask yourself, what is your goal for the end of the year, December 2018? And are you committed to that goal? And what are you going to do to get to that goal? So, I believe in affirmations, I believe in self-talk, but again, it comes down to consistency and taking action. It's better to be consistent on a regular basis than to take massive action every now and then. Or you could do massive action on a regular basis too. And we talk about, in our company, rating yourself on how well are you doing every day on a scale from 1 to 10. So we say it's really difficult to operate on a level 10 every day because you could definitely lead to burnout. So we believe that you want to operate on a level 7 plus every day. And so if you commit to operating on a level 7 plus, that determines your actions on a daily basis. So ask yourself, what is your goal? What are you doing now? If what you're doing now is going to reach that goal, great. If it's not, then obviously we need to step up our action. And you can definitely change your mindset. It's some people say, "Oh, I'm just like that. I was born that way." Well, the short story about myself is when I was in high school, I was really shy. I was a year younger than everybody else. I was scared to ask girls out, for dates. I wanted to get that first kiss, but I was really nervous. And so the only reason I went to the senior prom, when you're in high school, that's the big social event of your life, right? The only reason I went was this girl asked me to take her. And I said, yeah, I'll take you. I was too scared to ask anybody else. I said, oh, sure, I'll take you. But then I decided I really hated that feeling. I felt like I was in a box. So through sheer willpower, going through Tony Robbins, Walking on Fire, and learning Toastmasters, I gradually developed more and more and more confidence. So people look at me and they say, oh, Ron, you're such a great speaker. You must be a natural. You must be born that way. I said, no, you didn't see me when I was in high school. I would be in the corner like this, kind of looking around and thinking, I like to talk to people, but it was horrible. So I just, through willpower, I changed my mindset. I said, okay, this is where I want to be. I want to feel comfortable. I want to ask girls out. And so eventually I got to where I am today. So it is possible, and there are a lot of different techniques that you can use to change your mindset, change your belief system, and change your results, increase your results. This quote comes from a woman she's one of the top realtors in the country. And she was in business for probably over 30 years. And she was talking about 2008. And somebody was asking her, saying, how do you feel? What are you doing in this period, 2008, this big crash? And she said, buyers are buying, sellers are selling. That's all that matters. So she was saying to herself, in order to become successful in her business, she had to increase her effort just to stay even to where she was before. Because, those of you who've been in real estate for quite a while, there are these cycles, right? And now we're in a crazy cycle. And it's going to change eventually at some point. So you say, well, how do you, if you're committed to being an agent and being a real estate professional, you want to understand what this means, especially in today's market. You say, okay, I'm committed to my success to make things happen. It goes back to, are you willing to do what it takes? So this, I think, is I look at that not only in terms of real estate, but in terms of any type of economic market. Here's another mindset of a top producer. I met one friend of mine. He owned an insurance agency, and he was in an audience at a seminar before he owned his agency, and the speaker was in front of the stage. It was a large group, and one of the things the speaker said was to the audience, he says, your income is the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. And he said, I need to find more friends. So this affects your mindset. You want to associate with people who are out there taking action, maybe top producers. You do not want to hang around people that are naysayers, just saying, oh my God, this is so hard, I'm working so hard, I'm not getting any results. Because it affects your subconscious mind and it literally drags you down. So you want to be careful of who you associate with. Now, family is different. One person said in a humorous level, you want to love your family, sometimes you need to love them at a distance, depending on the type of environment it is. So this is very, very important. If you're going out and associating with people, you want to be aware of what are they saying. Are they positive thinkers? Is there, because here again, there's a lot of positive energy going on. People are showing up here, willing to listen, take notes. So this is one thing that I really stress, and I look at, and you can associate with people online also. I'm a big follower of Tony Robbins, so I've been to his live events, but also I follow him on Facebook. I have some of his books. In fact, I see you have some books here on display, and one saying that reminds me of is leaders are readers. So you definitely want to study your industry, all the ins and outs of real estate transactions, but also learn about, I'm passionate about learning, being more efficient. How can I learn faster, absorb more information in a shorter period of time and take action? Especially one I like is that Millionaire Next Door. So if you don't have those books, I would definitely recommend you start your success library. In fact, I heard a saying. This one owner of a company was interviewing somebody for a position. And he would ask them, what books do you have in your success library? And if they said, he said, oh, never mind, you're not the type of person we're looking for. So he was specifically looking for people who are interested in self-education, right, on their own motivation. So I would, definitely recommend that you if you don't have a success library already, is to start. You can start with some of those books because they're there for a reason, right, Leon?
Yes.
In addition to, these
It's
are all
money.
great because these are, quote, in your face every time you walk into the office, right? So it's a reminder, and you want to have these regular reminders to keep you on track. So Brian Buffini, he gave a talk. It was a video talk early, I think towards the end of last year. And he talks about investing in relationships, 3 keys to success in 2018. And again, the slides are available. I'll be happy to send it out by email. Stand out with service and develop your skills. So we're going to definitely talk about relationships. That's a real key, and I think, Leon, you touched on that too. You want to build your database, but you want to create relationships, and also you want to be in front of them online as much as possible. You want to create a powerful online presence. Now, this is the #1 strategy in our company that we teach, and it's called the $250,000 idea. And what that means is you can increase your commissions in your career at least $250,000 just by using this one idea. And we call it the POI, Person of Influence, or Power Partner. It could be center of influence. There are different terms, and I'll tell you what that means and how you can implement this idea on a very practical level. Because I've done this myself in terms of growing my own business, my own sales training business. So here's what you want to ask yourself. Who knows if their client is going to sell their house? On a general level, we would say, who has my customer, who has my client already? Because there are a lot of ways to generate leads. I won't go into all the details, but this is the number one way where you create a relationship with a person of influence or a power partner, and you create a mutual referral system in a very structured way. I'm sure you may talk to somebody and they say, "Oh, are you thinking of buying selling your house?" They say, "Well, no." And you maybe I go to networking events in person. You may hand out your cards. You meet somebody, a realtor. If you know anyone who wants to sell their house, please let me know. "Oh, yeah, okay. If I think of somebody, I'll let you know." They put their card away, and by the time they leave the networking event, they've forgotten about you. Right? So this is a more powerful, deeper way to create a relationship with somebody who knows if their client is going to sell their house. So here's an example, 3 examples: financial advisor, divorce attorney, CPA. Now, financial advisor, let's say if somebody's selling their house, I would say typically they're maybe 40s and 50s, maybe above. They have a huge amount of equity in their house. Have you ever heard somebody say, "Oh, I'm thinking of leaving the Bay Area"? A good friend of mine, he's a professor in Moraga in East Bay, and he's close to retirement, and he's planning to move to Seattle. He said, "I'm done with the Bay Area. It's been great," but he wants a change. Anybody hear people say that? Happens a lot. So financial advisor, most financial advisors, at a minimum, they'll meet with their client once a year, sometimes twice a year. They go over, the plan from last year. Okay, here's the plan we set up in terms of your savings. Maybe you have kids going to college, your retirement, or whatever. So they meet, let's say, a couple. I guess the different scenarios. One is a couple that's downsizing. Kids have graduated, they've left home, and hopefully they didn't come back, because sometimes you hear, "Oh, the kids graduated, they move out, they get an apartment, they try to find work or whatever. Maybe they get married, maybe they have kids." Well, let's say they're single, and then with the high rental prices all over the Bay Area, sometimes life is life, and they have to move back home, right? Sometimes they move back with their kids. But that financial advisor, he knows the intimate financial details of their clients. A couple may say, "Oh, our kids are gone. We're looking to downsize. Instead of having this 4-bedroom, 3-bath house or whatever, we're looking for a townhouse or whatever." So he or she knows, the financial advisor knows that situation of that client. Same thing, divorce attorney. I've been divorced myself. My ex-wife kept the house, and in a lot of situations, they have to sell the house. And also, in addition to that, you can look at estate planning attorneys, right? Let's say there's a death in the family, so they need to liquidate some assets too. So these are the type, and what you can do is ask yourself, who has my client in their database already? And then make a list. You might write down 10, 20, 30, 40 people you know, or people that you could meet or be introduced to. And then you want to start the relationship, and I'll tell you how that works. So again, we talked about relationships. Brian Tracy talking about books. I was just looking this morning. I have a lot of Brian Tracy's training materials. He's literally written over 25 books in his career, and he was only a high school graduate. He may have even been a high school dropout, but he's an amazing success story. But here he says, the value of a relationship is in direct proportion to the time you invest in the relationship. So I'm going to talk about investing time with your power partners, the POIs. So it's not just, hey, if you come across somebody who wants to sell their home, here's my card, let me know. That's on a surface level. So we want to go narrow and deep. So when you make that list of, let's say you've got 10, 20 people on your list of potential power partners, you want to identify the top 4 at a minimum and then start the relationship, and I'll tell you exactly how to do it. So you're going to create a reciprocal referral relationship. That means if I met a power partner, I'd say, yeah, here's how it would work. Let's say you write a list of 10, 20 people, you identify the top 4, let's say you know them, you probably, who knows a financial advisor in the room? Nobody? CPA, divorce attorney, or you could meet somebody, okay? If you, so there are lots of ways to meet people. A referral is always the best, right? So what you would do is, and this is what I do, if I was going to create a relationship, a power partner relationship with somebody, let's say, for example, it could be a sales manager. Well, I'll just give you a generic example. So of those 4 people on your list, let's say, and as if you even wrote down 1 or 2 people that you're thinking of already, here's how this conversation would go. So let's say, Mai, you and I were going to be power partners. Let's say you're not in real estate. Let's say, hey, Mai, I want to expand my business. I'm looking for a few power partners where we can collaborate together. How'd you like to have coffee and talk about it?
Sure, if you're paying.
I'll buy the coffee. I'm going to buy the bagel too. My treat. So it's very casual. So we say, hey, Mike, let's get together. This is what I'm doing. I'm a sales trainer. I'm looking for talks at sales managers meetings or real estate offices. And some of my clients, let's say you were a financial advisor, some of my clients can definitely use your services because as I talk to them, they want to make more sales. And I ask people, what are your goals? Not just not just do this, and this. It's like, where are you? Where do you want to get to? What's holding you back from getting there? And then I want to learn because I want to create a relationship with my clients. And then I might say about selling and relationships is kind of like dating. Some people try to do too much too soon. It's like trying to get that first kiss on the coffee date. It's definitely too much. I don't do that. So that's what I tell people not to do. I tell one of my clients, I said, you're talking too much too soon. You're dumping too much information. You need to listen more and talk less. And when you're talking, you want to ask questions. And one example I have is, I have a toolbox, let's say, and I've got a dozen tools on how to make more sales. So if I meet somebody, if I'm invited to a meeting like this, what I don't do is I don't dump all the tools on the table and I say, here's all the tools, which one would you like? I would ask people, specifically in this case, I know for a fact that finding listings is a huge challenge. And so when I put this talk together, I wanted to have specific ideas that I picked out of my toolbox on the table that would fit the audience. So you may have met people, typically it happens a lot at networking events, you meet somebody, they're very enthusiastic about what they're doing. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I can help you do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and you're going like, I don't even know you. I have this great opportunity, you can make $1 million, you don't have to work, I'll do all the work for you. Anybody here pitches like that? It's just too much. So going back to how do you initiate the relationship? So we're not going to look for the kiss on the first coffee date. In fact, probably not going to do that at all. It's a professional relationship. So then we say, okay, well, why don't we try it out for a month or 2? So again, there's no long-term commitment. I'll say, why don't we do this? Let's meet once a month for coffee for about an hour. We'll chit-chat for about 5 minutes. And from 1 month to the next, I'll bring my referrals to you, and you would bring your referrals to me. So it's very structured, very formal, at least in the beginning, the first couple months. And ideally, one easy way to make an introduction, and I do this quite a bit, is I'll send an email. And it'll say introduction to the 2 people. And it's very simple. I'd say, let's say if I met somebody that, let's say if you're a financial advisor and I knew somebody who could use your service, let's say their name was Shannon. It'd say introduction Mai Wynn and Shannon Jones. We'll say, hello Mai, hello Shannon. I want to introduce you to yourself and introduce you to each other. Mai is a financial advisor. Shannon is one of my clients. I encourage you to contact each other. And I say Ron Hori. So it's a way so that it's a third-party introduction. So I make it very clear, what I'm going to do, and then I would suggest that you would do that also. So again, we have a step-by-step process. It's more than, if I think of somebody, I'll let you know. So then after, a month, maybe 2 months, you might say, oh, hey, Mai, originally when we started this conversation, we thought, well, we'd give it a try for a month or two. And in some cases, there may be somebody, one of the two people that's maybe giving more referrals and maybe not getting mutual exchange. So you might say, well, I think it's not quite working out well. Let's definitely keep in touch, and I appreciate your time. So it's a very soft way to exit out of that conversation. So in other words, you're not asking for long-term commitment. It's like, okay, we're going to have a coffee meeting, talk about how we're going to do it, try it out for a month or two, and then if it works, then you can say, hey, this is working well. We're bringing referrals to each other, sending email introductions, and then you can say, hey, let's continue, right? And then so also with those 4 people, you can keep 4 people top of mind pretty easily. Because if you meet a lot of people, if you collect business cards, they're all different industries. It's hard to, in fact, when you go to there are different networking groups, and some meet every week, some meet every month, whatever, and the whole idea is to exchange referrals to each other, right? So I'm a member of a networking group. They have 20 people, and they're looking to grow. It's hard to remember what 20 people do for me. They have a strategy for having coffee meetings with various people. In fact, they call it power meetings. So there might be a power meeting of 3 or 4 people that meet at the same time to have coffee to exchange information. So you can so let's say you have 4 power partners. You can keep those people. You might even write them down. When I do let's say an in-person talk with somebody, a coffee meeting, or even on the phone, I'll actually have a checklist of things that I want to cover. And one of them might be, do you have a financial advisor? Or do you have an attorney? And also, too, I'm going to talk about referrals, too. So you want to, whenever you have a conversation, there's an elegant way to ask for referrals, for listings. So again, actually we can do it. Any questions so far in this particular area on Power Partners? It's the #1 strategy. We recommend that you have 10 lead generation channels. So this would be the #1. So the other channels are your website, your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile, your database, going to networking, doing mailers, cold calling, whatever. But this is the #1 idea that we teach. You want to brand yourself as a real estate professional, and do people know you're in real estate? Because people forget. I'll give you 2 stories. One of my good friends, she's a broker, and we meet periodically. We've met over the years and kept in touch. And she lives in Sunnyvale. And she was driving down her block, and she sees this sign that says, "For sale." And she said, "Oh, why didn't they come to me? I'm a broker. I could have helped them sell their house." And I said, "Okay, when was the last time you either left a door hanger or knocked on their door, or how would they know that you're even an agent?" She was getting really upset. She said, "Oh, well, they should have known, whatever." I said, No. I didn't say it directly to her. I said, "It's your fault." Right? Nope, they didn't know. So she could have had that listing if people would know. And another story is I met a woman in this networking group. She's an agent for Alon Pinnell and Moscatos. And she was talking to a friend of hers, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to sell my house." She said, "What? Why didn't you ask me? I could have helped you." She said, "Oh, I thought you only dealt with people in the South Bay." So sometimes you have to educate people that you know or meet, saying, "Hey, you can do business anywhere in the state, and sometimes out of state too, right?" So part of it is staying top of mind, and I'm going to talk about some specific ideas on how to do that. And again, you want to be consistent in your top of mind awareness, TOMA, top of mind awareness. So if people think of real estate, they think of you, right? Not just, they don't, anyway, there are a lot of different ways to do that. So number one is you keep in touch with past clients. I'll tell you a personal story. So when I was, my first transaction, I was looking for a condo. I was renting, and I was looking for a condo, to start investments in property. So I asked a friend of mine, do you know an agent? And he said, oh yeah, I know this person. And so I contacted them, and we had a chat, and she showed me some different condos, and I actually bought the condo using her. I never heard from her again after that. No thank you note, no birthday card, no anniversary card, whatever. So it got time to sell that condo. I was getting married and going to sell the condo, buy a house. So I had to find another agent, right? Which I did. So we bought this house. I had a good experience with the person. No thank you. Maybe small gift. I don't remember what the gift was. No follow-ups. Forgot her name. So those two people, they lost 2 transactions, and I don't even remember their names at all. So you definitely want to keep in touch with your past clients. And I'll tell you some specific easy ways on how you can do that. Birthday cards, right? It could be as simple as if you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, you get notifications, right? Anybody see notifications? These are people that are having birthdays today. So sometimes I'll click and I'll say happy birthday, right? Click and then return. Click, return. So I've got 10 people that have birthdays. It'll say, create a template and it says happy birthday. Click, paste, return, click, paste, return, click, paste, return. And people say, oh, thanks for the happy birthday wish. Because for most people, that's one of the most important days of the year, right? So if somebody remembers, even in a small way, you can even you can create an image, let's say of a birthday cake with candles burning, maybe some confetti dropping down. You can do it fancy if you want. You can also literally send out birthday cards, and there's an easy way to do that. But what does it do? It keeps you top of mind to them. Because let's say you're on Facebook and you have, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 friends. Let's say you're on LinkedIn, you have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 connections, right? So you want to keep top of mind with you might call it your inner circle, because Leon talked about, let's say you have an inner circle, and maybe an outer circle, and then an outer circle. There's people, that if you call them, they have your phone number in their phone already, right? So you want to solidify those relationships of people that you really know, as opposed to social media connections. So again, Facebook posts, LinkedIn posts, you want to definitely keep in touch with your past clients.
For someone to remember you, how often do you suggest you keep in touch with them?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I was told every 12 days.
I would
It
say,
doesn't have to be like a phone call every 12 days. That would just be annoying.
right. No,
But we're talking about like a Facebook like, even as a phone,
Oh, like,
as a
sure.
touch,
It's a
right?
touch, definitely.
Yeah.
Or even a small comment.
What do you suggest?
It kind of depends. It depends who it is, and you can actually look at it in kind of a strategic way also. So if I see one of my friends that posts a comment on Facebook or on LinkedIn, I might do a like, because they'll see that I like it. If I want to go a little deeper, I might add a comment also, saying, hey, great idea, or if they're putting on an event, I'll say, hey, I can promote your event. So, again, being of service to people. So it's a judgment call, but on a strategic level, you can think of, you're looking for more listings, right? So those people, people who might be in that category, let's say in terms of your power partners, you might just keep in mind who you're going to want to deepen that relationship with. So it's kind of a vague answer, but it's a judgment. So maybe, what I do is, let's say if I go on Facebook, and I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook because I want to be very strategic. So to me, it's a social platform, but my objective is to do business on Facebook. So I don't spend a lot of time. But I'll do like, comment. I'll go on LinkedIn, see if you're on LinkedIn, you can see who viewed your profile. And there's a way to create what we call a magnetic profile to attract your ideal client. And so I'll see a post from somebody, maybe I'm not connected to them, but I'll click on a like and maybe I'll give a comment. And depending on what kind of relationship I want to create with them, I may put a tickler in my calendar to follow up with them. So in general, I think likes, you can do a dozen likes, every day to different people. It could be the same person every day, but a like is pretty simple. It's not like a phone call where you're really intrusive, but they'll say, oh, I like my post, or she liked my comment too. Here's an idea: brand yourself as a real estate professional. Anybody ever search for your name, doing a Google search? Okay, if you haven't, or if you already have, do it again. You may be surprised at what you find. You could even do a search for me, Ron Hori, because I do that myself too, just to see where I rank. So it'll show my LinkedIn profile, my Facebook. There's a humorous video I did one time. So it shows my professional background. So you want to look closely, and I'll show you some examples of if somebody looks you up on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever social platform that you use. In fact, at one time I was using Twitter, and I realized I don't like Twitter. Twitter, is a very good platform for a lot of people, but I decided it's one more distraction. So I decided, my main social media platforms are LinkedIn and Facebook. But again, it's very strategic in terms of how much time I put in on those platforms. And you want to promote yourself on social media, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So you want to create, again, your top of mind awareness. So here's an interesting story. I post articles on LinkedIn, and every now and then I'll post things in the timeline. So one thing about LinkedIn is you can post articles like a blog, which sits on your profile. And I don't think Facebook has that feature. And then there's a timeline like on Facebook. If I post something on Facebook, it's going to be there, then it's going to roll off eventually. So at this networking event, I met this gentleman who was the organizer of this one meeting. His name is Mike. I said, oh, Mike, hey, glad to meet you. I didn't know had not ever met him before. He said, oh, Ron, nice to meet you. You're the one who posts a lot on LinkedIn. So he was kind of stalking or just watching me. And he didn't do any likes, no comments. So when you post something on the social media, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, people are going to be watching, right, and seeing who you are. So there's definitely ways you can use that technique to raise your awareness and stay top of mind. And I'll show you a couple of examples on that. This is Jordan Mott. I don't know him. I just came across him. This is his Facebook profile. So guess what he does? He's an agent, right? In fact, so one of the things you do is you want to have a picture, ideally, no dogs or cats or whatever, families, vacations. There is a place for that. But as far as business, he is in business, and he's in the top 1% as far as an agent. One thing also you can do is, in fact, one thing I want to do today before we leave is I want to do a short selfie video, probably with Mai and Hong and Leon if you're available, just to say, hey, this is Ron Hori. I'm giving a talk here at Pacific Real Estate, and I want to introduce you to some of my friends here. So what does it do? It gives me visibility, and I'm going to post it on Facebook. I'm going to post it on LinkedIn later today. So it gives me visibility. Also gives visibility to Mai, Hong, and to Leon. So you want, in fact, we want to do it where it shows Pacific Wide as a logo too. So people are going to say, oh, Pacific Wide, so it gives, I'll tag, I'll send a friend request, so it'll tag you both, right? So it gives visibility to everybody, and it takes 2 minutes. So if you're going to an open house, you do a quick selfie. Hey, this is Ron. I'm going to this open house. It's this street, so on and so on. Just listed. That's it. Post it on Facebook. Post it on LinkedIn. People are going to see it. They're going to know that you're a real estate agent, right? It doesn't take a lot of time. In fact, somebody said, "What's easy to do is easy not to do." So I've got my camera, and definitely, Leon, if you're available, and Mai Hong, I definitely want to do that selfie very quick. And even pictures too. If you're going by to see a house or anything related to real estate, you want to do a photo. Selfie is even better. It gives promotion to more and more people. So you're creating, we call it social currency. It's not that Leon is obligated to me, to do anything, but I just want to be of service to people. I like to help people, connect people, and also be able to give referrals too, definitely. So this is Jordan Mott on Facebook. This is Jordan Mott on LinkedIn. So again, top 1% realtor at Intero. You don't have, if you're not top 1%, just say agent, Intero real estate, whatever. And also too, so also on LinkedIn too, you can repurpose information like the photos and the videos. You post them on LinkedIn, and they only take, once I get the image. And one thing too, I see you have a professional camera and video here set up. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get that image, if it's a photo, and I'm going to post it on Facebook, post it on LinkedIn. Right here's Ron, the sales trainer, speaking at Pacific Wide. Right. So again, like there are people like Mike who don't like or don't make any comments, but they see it. And then from those posts, I get maybe anywhere from 1 to 6 on LinkedIn connection requests every day. These people are saying, "Hey Ron, I saw your profile, I'd like to connect with you." Right? And so I'll see what profession they're in. But again, it creates visibility. And sometimes I'll send a connection request to somebody and maybe they never reply. So that tells me they're not on LinkedIn a lot. Some people, I'll send a request and then within 10 minutes they say, "Thank you for connecting." So then I start to do that dating analogy process, get to know them over time. And I've actually, by creating a magnetic LinkedIn profile, one of my clients actually found me by searching for sales trainer, and we did business together for about 6 months. So there's powerful ways to use social media, but don't rely on it as your only channel. Now, with those POIs or power partners, you can also do joint seminars. Anybody here feel comfortable about speaking in front of groups? Okay, Con, you did a great job here. You got very dynamic. I noticed things like that too.
Thank you.
So for those of you who are not, I would encourage you to, let's say, join Toastmasters. One of the things that helped me break out of my shell is I joined Toastmasters. I wanted to basically have more confidence. And you've probably heard of Dale Carnegie. He wrote Think and Grow Rich, and not Think and Grow, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think that was the one. And he says the number one way to increase your confidence is take a public speaking course. And with Toastmasters, it's very inexpensive, less than $100 a year. You don't have to have any experience in public speaking. The whole idea is to have people come and learn specific skills to develop their confidence. So that's what I did. But for those of you who like to speak, you could do a joint seminar, and it could be something like this. It could be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you pick somebody, let's say a financial advisor, one of your power partners. This is part of that strategy. You would say to them, let's do a joint seminar. And let's say it's live, or it could be a webinar. You invite your clients to the seminar. I'll invite my clients. I'll speak for 30 or 40 minutes, and then you speak for 30 or 40 minutes. And then you can say, you can offer a free consultation. So it doubles the amount of reach that you have, because you're talking about where your service is to their clients. So you're also collecting leads, and then there's the whole follow-up process, which I'll touch on also. And the same for them. So you create mutual benefit. And let's say there's 5 people in the room or 6 people. Well, it's better, let's say you invest a couple of hours together.
you're creating leverage. It's a one-to-many relationship. Because I'll do coffee meetings with people sometimes. I've limited my coffee meetings. I'll talk about how that works. But public speaking, especially with a person of influence or a power partner, is a really powerful way to expand your audience. See, you have 4 power partners. You do, let's say, 1 a week joint seminar, or even 1 a month. You decide. This is one strategy in your toolbox to find those people that are thinking or considering selling their home. They haven't decided yet. Also webinars too. You can do a webinar on your own. You can also record it. And then you can have a webinar play on demand. It could be something that would grab people's attention. You might say 5 danger signs if you're thinking of selling your home. Right? People are going to say, what is that all about? You can do a webinar. You could, if you're home, if I'm home, I might have a nice shirt on in front of the camera, but I've got my shorts, flip-flops underneath, so you can do it in the comfort of your own home. Could be, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment. There's a lot of free platforms. So webinars are another channel where you can do it yourself, or you can team up with one of your power partners. Also podcasts, it's like a radio show. You can, one thing I learned is that there are millions and millions and millions of podcasts online. One of my favorites is Tim Ferriss. Anybody hear of Tim Ferriss? Anyway, so he has a very popular podcast. But one thing you can search for is how to be a guest on a podcast. And you'll see a whole list of sites that will say how you can be a guest. Because people who are hosting these podcasts are looking for new information for their audience. So you could position yourself as a real estate expert. Also specifically, let's say, looking for listings. And usually it's free because, so what you do is you can be a guest on the podcast. You get to know the person who's hosting the podcast. Again, it's all about relationships. And then once you get that podcast, you can download the audio recording, and then you can repurpose that in a lot of different ways. You can post it on Facebook. You can say, here's a podcast. I was a guest on XYZ podcast host, or on LinkedIn also. So again, the more you can post anywhere on social media that you're a real estate agent, that you're very active also. If you were when Mike Ferry was here, anybody get a picture with Mike Ferry?
Everybody did.
All of us.
Individually?
And
Okay, good. Did you post it anywhere?
somebody did.
Okay, well, you need to do it.
I didn't do it.
No, but on your personal, well, anyway, so the idea is whenever you meet with somebody, who has a well-known reputation, right? You want to have that nice picture with them, right? So that people know that, okay, it's like the company you keep, the 5 people you associate with the most. And back to online association, I associate with people that I've not met in person, but I follow them. One person is Grant Cardone. Anybody heard of Grant Cardone? He's a real power sales trainer, totally different than my style, but I like his content too. And one thing I learned, I'll back up a little bit. One thing I learned from a course that I took from Eric Lawfone is that I could be myself. I don't have to be this super energized power speaker, say, hey, I'm here, I'm going to give you some fantastic ideas. It's going to increase your results. I don't have to be that way. I can just be myself. But I study people who are like that. And Tony Robbins, his story is amazing. And I could not be Tony Robbins, but I can take some of his ideas and adapt them to my own personality. So you want to be the best you can be, and also think about how you can be slightly better. So for me, it's continuous improvement. So that's about podcasts. And that's one of the things on my to-do list. Because as I was putting this together, I was thinking, okay, Ron, you need to do more of that. So it's like the shoemaker whose kids have no shoes, right? I need to do what I'm recommending to people. Would you like to come and sit here?
Oh, me?
Yes. There's a chair here, you can have a front row seat. I don't bite. Good. Welcome. So this is one of our success stories. Kevin Hudabaugh, he's a realtor in the Midwest, Illinois, I think. And he started with one of our training programs in 2014. And in his first year as a client, he took one of our trainings that included some one-on-one coaching. He increased his gross commission $80,000 in the first 18 months using some of the deeper systems that we talk about. And he's still a client of Eric Lawfam. He's getting personal coaching from Eric Lawfam once a month. And last year, in 2017, he did 21 transactions. So he wanted to step up his game. So he took that $80,000 and he wanted to pay off his mortgage. And he's very close to doing that. And he also wanted to become an investor. So through the benefit of our sales training program and the coaching that he received, he did 21 transactions last year. And then he did 21 transactions in the first 3 months of 2018. So he was definitely getting into more action, more massive action, and creating more results. So you can save time with technology. For example, I gave you the example of shooting videos. You can do it almost anywhere too. Have that in your mind. You've got your phone with you in your pocket or your purse. There are ways that you can leverage technology to create that top of mind awareness. Webinars versus coffee meetings. It used to be I'd go to a networking event, I'd meet somebody, I'd say, nice to meet you. They'd say, hey Ron, how about coffee? And the person I didn't really know very well, and once I connect with them, I'd look them up on LinkedIn, look them up on Facebook, just to learn more about them. And I found if I do a coffee meeting, it could literally take maybe anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. The card would go out automatically. I don't have to touch it at all.
What's the name of that company? I'm sorry?
It's called Send Out Cards. Send Out Cards. And again, it's a time saver and it keeps you top of mind. And what you do not want to do is necessarily over promote yourself when you're sending a birthday card or any type of card. You want to be social, hey, happy birthday, and you can actually customize the message. Plus, if you wanted to do something special, let's say it's somebody's birthday, you can use this send out card service and send them a gift. It could be a batch of chocolate chip cookies. It could be a teddy bear, let's say if it's for a young child. And it could be a gift card to Amazon. So there are a lot of ways you can send something in a very personal way to people that you want to keep in touch with. Again, it's another way to keep top of mind. So those are automated greeting cards. This is another one of our success stories. This is the Edelman couple. And they were at this, when this photo was taken, this was their first year in real estate. And they had gone through our training, one of our training programs, and at this point, they became Agent of the Month. So the idea is, again, I'm not a real estate expert, but our trainings and our techniques and methodologies, they apply to any industry, and especially to real estate too in today's market. So now let's talk about referrals. Now this is what's called an ethical bribe. So I love referrals, and I'll give you some idea on how you can ask for referrals. So if you give me 3 referrals to a real estate office or to a broker, I'll give you a $5 Starbucks card. And I'll send it to you by email. So I don't have to go to Starbucks, I don't have to buy the card, I don't have to put it in an envelope, I don't have to put a stamp and go to the post office. I just log on to Starbucks, let's say it's my win, here's an email, here's a $5 Starbucks card, I hope you enjoy it, click send, and it goes off to you. So it's a huge way to say thank you. So this is a legitimate offer for today. Now also too, you can ask for a referral in almost at any point in the sales process. Let's say you're sitting down to meet and you want to be doing it in what I call an elegant way. So if you're meeting with somebody for the first time, let's say you're talking to somebody about possibly listing your home, you might say, hey, I want to get to know you, see if this might be good, or maybe you're even doing a listing presentation. You can say to them, the outline is, here's what we're gonna talk about, here's what I'm gonna ask you, and here's how we're gonna finish up. So in the beginning, I would say, let's say it was let's say he and I didn't know each other. So, let's get together. I'd like to get to know you. I know you're one of the key people at Pacific Way. So we sit down, we have coffee. So I want to learn more about you. So I may even have a list of questions. And before we get started, I might say, hey, Hong, if you feel like the meeting went really well and if you feel comfortable, is it okay if I ask you for 3 referrals at the end? Everybody says yes. So what it does is it prepares him for me he knows I'm going to ask for referrals at the end of our coffee, whether we decide to do business or not. And of course, if we decide to do business together, I still use that same outline because if you look on the back of my card, it says, you know exactly what to say to get somebody to buy from you, to buy a product or a real estate service. So in our methodology, whatever the situation is, we say this is the exact sequence of how it's going to work. So in this outline, I said, here's who I am, here's what we're going to talk about, here are the items, and there's going to be a free offer at the end. So again, I'm going to pass out a form. Excuse me. In fact, I'll do that now. And then we're getting close to Q&A. See, Hong, how are we doing on time? Do I have about 11:30?
Okay.
Is enough time? Thanks. So also, too, I'd like to get some feedback. So there are 2 sides to the form, and there's some other offers I'm going to make, too. I'd also like to get your feedback. Maybe during the Q&A, I want to know thumbs up, thumbs down, what did you like, what did you not like? I'm totally open. I'm not going to blacklist you. You can give me a low rating because I want to get better myself too. Okay. So that concludes the formal part of the presentation. Any questions?
Any question?
You mentioned that there is an elegant way of asking for referrals, but you didn't say what that was. What is that?
Oh, in the beginning, let's say if you're having a meeting with somebody, you can say, here's the purpose of our meeting. If it's the first time, I want to get to know you. Also, if you feel comfortable at the end of our meeting, if you feel comfortable with our conversation at the end of our meeting, is it okay if I ask you for 3 referrals? So you let them know up front. And one of the techniques for referrals, too, is at the end when you say, how do you think our conversation went today, or our meeting today? So, it went pretty well, okay. Then you would say, remember in the beginning, I mentioned that if you felt it was comfortable, I would be asking you for 3 referrals. And they say, oh yeah. So what you would do is, as part of being prepared for that meeting, so you would have a form out, and also too, in your mind, you want to know who is your perfect referral. I've met people in real estate, they say, I can help anybody who wants to buy or sell their house. Well, I can't think of anybody. I could think of somebody, a couple over 50 years old, maybe their kids have left home, they're downsizing, they want to look for a townhouse. So you want to be as specific as you can to help that person know who a good referral is for you. So you might say, in this particular example, a good referral for me is a couple over 50 years old, close to retirement, thinking of leaving the Bay Area or downsizing. Who do you know that you might be able to refer to you? So you write it down. Ideally, this is the ideal situation. You want to try to get it done at the meeting. Get the referral person's name, phone number, email, and then if possible, depending on it's a judgment call, you can say, hey, would you mind calling them and introduce them on the phone, so you can get it done right there. That's depending on the chemistry, you may or may not do that. But you definitely, if they say, oh yeah, I'd be happy to give you referrals, you want to get the name, get at least 3 a name, phone number, email, and then you can either ask them to do an email introduction, or you could send them, if you have their phone number, let's say if it's a mobile phone, you could send them a message saying, hi, I was referred to you by so-and-so. This is the reason they referred to me. Would you like to have a quick phone call? So there's definitely a step-by-step sequence. So we say if you wing it, you're going to get wing it results. So whenever I prepare for any meeting, and it could even be a phone call, I know what I want to accomplish on the phone call, what I'm going to say, what I'm going to ask, and what the call to action is going to be. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you.
That's a good question, because sometimes the devil is in the details. You know, again, I could go deeper on any of these levels, but I want to give you, so again, if you've written down some ideas that you thought would help you, then prioritize those ideas. And maybe pick one that you're going to do today. In fact, if you want to share, in fact, I like audience participation too. So if you want to share, if somebody wants to share what their one big idea is that you're going to do today, I'd love to hear it.
I just have a question. So in your own experience, what is the most effective way for networking event you ever went to, the networking event? So I'm very weak on that one. So I want to learn more about that part. So can you share that experience or give us a hint where to go?
Okay, that's a very good question. One thing I do is to find out who's going to be there, or what type of a networking event is it going to be. Because there's a real estate meeting in Campbell every Friday at 8:30, and it's for agents, people who are in the industry. And I go every now and then because my target market or my ideal clients are going to be there. They're going to be agents or brokers. Right? There's some people affiliated. There's one guy who's in moving, another guy who's a roofer. So I'll look for real estate events like that. And I also saw, anyway, so that's one thing. Then there are general networking events. In fact, there's an organization, it's around the country called Network After Work, networkafterwork.com. And they have networking events all over the country. And it's maybe $10, $15, but people of all different varieties, all different industries go there. So one thing to do before you go to the event is ask yourself, what is the result, or I'm going to shift over here a little bit. What do you want to get out of that event? So it could be you want to find maybe 2 or 3 power partners, people that are maybe complementary industries, maybe somebody who's in mortgage business, maybe they're title or whatever. Or they could be staging, right? Maybe they do staging. So you also want to know exactly what you're going to say if somebody says, what do you do? And here's a tip. I took a course from this gentleman, his name is Rick Silva, and he created a networking course. And he says, here's what you do when somebody asks you what you do. Let's say, what's your name?
Dan.
Dan? Okay, Dan. Let's say we met, I say, hey Dan, nice to meet you. What brings you here tonight? First time here, whatever. And you say, oh Ron, ask me what I do.
What did you do wrong?
Well, Dan, I'd be happy to tell you what I do. Tell me what you do.
I'm a real estate agent.
Oh, really? Okay. So what I did was I didn't answer the question, right? So I would say, oh, really? What type of real estate? Commercial, residential?
Mainly residential.
Oh, residential. Okay. Any particular areas? So I'd ask you some questions to get to know you before I even say what I do. Because what I'm thinking is, in the back of my mind, do you need my service?
I see.
And one key question I'll ask almost anybody, let's say they're a small business owner, they're maybe not in my target market, I'll ask them, what's your biggest challenge in growing your business? And they'll tell me. You might say, let's say I meet insurance people, financial advisors, real estate. The answer, the most common answer to that question, what's your biggest challenge, is finding more leads. That's probably the #1 challenge I get. So I say, oh really? Okay. But I'm not pushing. I'm saying, oh, you need more leads. Oh, I can help you. You know, give me your card. You know, let's have coffee. You know, nothing like this. Very step by step by step, right? So if I think we might have, so you want to keep it also very short. So maybe 5 minutes at the most, because sometimes people will talk your ear off. They forget to ask you what you do. So if you get in that situation, an easy way to exit out of that feeling trapped is I might say, hey Daniel, it's really nice to get to know you. I know you want to meet more people here tonight. Let's keep in touch. Have a nice evening. And then exit. Also too, you want to get there early and you can kind of get a scope of the meeting room. Also find the organizer. Who is putting on that event? You want to get to know the organizer because they know they have a list of everybody at the event. Now you may not be able to get the list, but if they're putting on events like that, you want to get to know them and ask them how often they put on events. What I do, if somebody's like, here's a way that I got to know VNAR, Vietnamese National Association of Real Estate Professionals. I saw a happy hour at the Province. Bay 101 Club, right? The restaurant is Province. I said, oh, real estate networking, you know. So I go there, and I don't know anybody. It doesn't bother me. But in the beginning, you know, once I learned a formula on how to work a networking event, I said, oh, this is simple. So, you know, I was a student of how do you network effectively. So I went there, you know, met a few people, you know, I'll shake hands, you know, what do you do? And then they said, Jeff Vo, the current president, who was there saying, hey, you know, people, we want to expand our networking event. We want to have more people come so we can introduce people to each other. And I said, hey, I can promote your event for you because I have an email list. I'll post it on LinkedIn. I'll post it on Facebook. So I wanted to be of service. You know, I connect people as much as I can. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, no worries. And he said, oh, thank you so much. And we chatted a little bit, and he said, oh, would you like to come to our board meeting on Thursday? And I said, sure, why not? So he invited me to come to their board meeting, and got to know the president, Jeff, and through an indirect connection, myself connected online. And this is the first time I met her in person. So you can have in mind being of service, but also being kind of strategic. You know, you're also, so let's say you told me what you do and you asked me, I might say, who's your best referral partner or client? You might say, a good referral for me is, and you want to be very specific also. Don't say anybody who wants to buy or sell their house. If you say over 50 couple wants to leave the Bay Area, wants to downsize, I might say, oh, I know somebody like that, right? Or if you're just looking for, let's say, buyer listings, you know, so it depends. But now here we're talking mainly about sellers, right? So you want to know, like we say, if you wing it, you're going to get wing it results. And also too, if you're new, just practice, because people are there to meet people. And if you see two people talking, and you don't have anybody to talk to, let's say you two are talking, I'll just kind of stand there, you know, and listen. And then at some point they'll say, oh, you know, have a name tag. And they'll say, oh, Ron, what do you do? So then you'll get included. So even if you're by yourself, standing alone, you can elegantly, I like the word elegantly, break into a conversation in a very casual way. And one of the most important things is know that you know, I have a certain list of questions. One is, what do you do? How long have you been doing it? What's your biggest challenge? What do you want to do to get to the next level? I'm like a detective. And I'll even write notes on the back of their business card. And if I want to follow up, I'll put a star on it. So I may collect 20 business cards. I've got 3 cards that have a star. So what I normally, so there's also follow-up. So you usually go to networking, you exchange cards. It's very, very rare somebody's going to contact you back. So one thing I do is that night, and I do this regularly now, is I'll send them a simple email. It says, nice meeting you at VNAR Happy Hour. You know, say, hi Dan, it was nice meeting you at the happy hour, you know, let's keep in touch, if I can help you, let me know. That's it. I don't say, hey Dan, it's nice meeting you there at the happy hour, I know you need more listings, I got this training, let's get together, you know, I can really help you get to your next, you know, none of that. It's like the dating analogy. So I send that, and then I see who replies back. So one night, I said, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. So tomorrow came, and I didn't do it. And the next day came, and I didn't do it. So then I said, okay. That night I said, I'm gonna do this tonight. I stayed up until 2 a.m. just to get it done. Because if I didn't get it done, it may never get done. And so then I see who replies back. They would say, hey Ron, nice meeting you too, let's keep in touch. So I want to see who wants to engage in the conversation. So that's the beginning. You know, get to know you, like you, trust you, do business. It doesn't happen like magic. You know, like you said, Leon, don't expect to get a client at that open house, right? And they say the fortune is in the follow-up. You meet somebody, oh, do you have a card? Oh, no, I don't have a card. You want to be prepared. Oh, you know, I have a, why don't you write your name and mobile phone number on the back of my card. Let's keep in touch. So, because people who are there are potential buyers or sellers, right? So, does that answer your question? Or any
Yeah,
other
yes, it
question?
is. Yeah, yeah. I need to tailor down my stuff. Sometimes I have different approaching, you know, so I need to tailor, organize it.
One thing you can do, Google is a fantastic resource. You can look for what to do at a networking event. And it'll tell you, you'll probably get, you know, first page will be full of suggestions on what exactly to do. In fact, I did a Google search, it's on a different slide. It was, the topic of the search is how to find more sellers. And I guess on the first page, a whole list of sites that said, here's how you find more sellers. What's the mindset of a real estate top producer? You see this whole list of people. So Google is a huge resource for anything. But that's a good question. I would encourage, you know, don't feel shy. Just try it out. It's like anything else. You get better. You can even tell the organizer, oh, this is my first time here. I'm looking to meet so-and-so. And they might even offer to introduce you. So like anything else, you know, people are there to meet other people. Good question.
Thank you very much. I learned a lot too.
Any other questions?
I want to hear somebody's number one tip that they're going to do. Anybody, or I'm going to call on somebody. Ah, good, a volunteer. Somebody brave.
Way to adjust my LinkedIn profile to be magnetic.
Okay.
I haven't done that.
One thing too, it's not up here, but I took this training on LinkedIn. It's totally free. If you're curious about learning about how you can create a magnetic LinkedIn profile, on that sheet, just write LinkedIn. And then I'll send, I didn't want to overwhelm you with this mega free offers. But it's something that's really impacted how I connect with people. And there's just briefly, there is a strategy on reaching out to people specifically on LinkedIn in your target market. And that's a topic for another talk. It's another powerful, LinkedIn is one of my main lead generation channels for finding real estate brokers, also sales managers. And if you want to talk offline or if you have a few minutes, I can explain the reference. Any other questions?
Questions?
Oh my, what's your number one idea that you're going to use today?
Oh, I am going to find some power partners.
Good for you. All right. Yes, yes.
I'm gonna try to find, well, in my business, I have to, my clientele are real estate agents. So I'm going to be contacting more loan officers, even inspectors, right?
That's good.
And for you guys, it could be financial advisors, attorneys, CPA. Those are all the people that deals with clients that potentially know whether they need to sell their house or not. So, and if you guys don't know any financial advisor, attorney, or CPA, let me know. I can refer you to one.
Great.
Also, here's a good tip for productivity. You can team up with somebody as an accountability partner. saying, "Maya, you could team up with somebody," or "Dan, you could team up," or maybe for networking, you could have somebody saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go to this networking, you wanna go?" So when you get there, so you have like a buddy, or a budette, no, not budette. You know what I mean? Man alone. So you go there together, but you split up. And then, if you meet somebody that you could introduce to your friend, you can say, "Oh, I want you to meet somebody else." Maybe they're not in real estate. Maybe and they could be in real estate too. So you say, "Hey, I want you to meet somebody," and vice versa. So you go together, but you split up, and you work the room together. So there's a whole strategy for that. So I see it's 5 minutes to 12, so, and they've gone a little bit over. Hope you don't penalize me later on.
No, we don't. Thank you.
Any other questions to wrap up?
No questions?
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate you.